KINS 5 News Team in June 2023. She was born and raised north of Houston and is excited to be back in Texas. Previously, she was a morning anchor in Huntsville, Alabama at the ABC affiliate Way 31. In Huntsville, she earned an Alabama Broadcasters Association Award for a special report on child abuse. That special was also nominated for a Regional Emmy Award. Her broadcast career started in Lubbock, Texas in 2016. Megan attended Texas Tech University, Reckham, and graduated with a journalism and dance degree. She started working at the local Fox affiliate her senior year of college as an associate producer. Upon graduation, she was promoted to producer reporter role. By the time she left Lubbock, she was anchoring on the weekends. Welcome, Megan. Mike Jimenez is seventh-year reporter after spending his first 2 years working in Victoria Television Group, reporting in both English and Spanish. Mike spent 3 years reporting in Rio Grande Valley for KBO 23 and Valley Central 4. Mike then moved back to San Antonio, where he worked for a short time for News 4 San Antonio and Fox 29. He then found his permanent home in San Antonio at KINS 5. Mike is originally from Lytle, Texas, but calls San Antonio his home. He graduated from Lytle High School, Palo Alto College, and Texas A&M San Antonio, where he received a BA in Communications in 2014. In Victoria, he was the station's lead reporter and covered a variety of news stories, including covering Tropical Storm Bill as it washed ashore in Port Lavaca in 2015. Mike also did an investigative story looking into a mud district in Porter Connor, where he exposed allegations of corruption and collusion in appointment of 3 board members. Eventually, 2 of the board members exposed in the story were not reelected to their positions on the board. In the Rio Grande Valley, he covered extensive border issues, politics, political corruption, and Hurricane Hannah in 2020. Mike started working for KINS in July of 2023 and was honored at KINS 5 Employee of the Year for 2023. He was also recently awarded a partnership award for the nonprofit Search and Support San Antonio for his work covering missing persons and unsolved crime stories. Mike considers himself a news junkie, but when he's not looking for stories, he enjoys playing tennis and loves spending time with his dogs, Whitney and Pugsley.
These dogs are very cute.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks everyone for having us today. We're excited to be here, and we're talking about artificial intelligence today. Lucky enough, we actually just recently went through a training with our company Tegna. That's what owns KINS 5. So we were a little, actually, when I was approached by this, I was a little excited to receive that training. So we're going to give you a similar experience to what we experience as professional journalists coming from our company. Couldn't copy exactly their presentation, but was able to grab it one, how to make it ourselves. So these are the things we're going through. We're going to talk about how to apply AI to news. So what's appropriate, what's not, red flags with AI, detecting disinformation in AI, and then we'll have some final takeaways as well. So will AI replace journalism? No. Why not? And likely it's not. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to have real people fact check. We're going to go over that plenty of times during this presentation, but I wouldn't be too concerned. But there are ways that this new technology, or it's actually been around for a while, but it keeps becoming more advanced. But this technology could really negatively impact journalism. But that's why we're talking about it today. We've got to talk about how to approach it the appropriate way, the ethical way. So what we don't use AI for, we won't use it to write original news scripts, headlines, teases, similar work for broadcast or publication. We won't use it to create or manipulate images for broadcast, and of course, was using certain funds for their own personal gain. We can't enter any of that information to any kind of AI tool because it's not confirmed, because they could potentially take that and use it later. And we'll talk about some of those tools that we actually do use. So what we can use AI for is for research or data analysts, but you have to verify any of the information that we receive. So even if we get some data from AI, they look at, so for example, you could use AI to sift through a document and search for keywords. If you're looking for certain information, say it's like a 100-page document and you need like certain statistics, you can search keywords, it'll find it for you. But you have to make sure that, you know, verify that information is correct. This one I'm gonna bring Mike in, so you can use it for transcription. It's a faster way to get quotes for an interview. So there's multiple websites, but essentially you have your video with your interview that you did. You can enter it into a system and it actually transcribes it right there for you. Mike, talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, so,
What are
when
the
you
names?
do an interview, sometimes the interviews can be lengthy, like I did one the other day that was 40 minutes,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, typically, most interviews are 5 to 10 minutes, maybe 15 at the most. But it was a really emotional interview with a mother who, her daughter had been killed in a drunk driving accident, and we just connected really well, just had a really great conversation. Anyways, long story short, transcription, there's Otter or Trent. So basically I throw it in there, I have to create it, convert it to an MP4 format, and then I dump it in there and it transcribes everything. However, there are some times where it doesn't transcribe it correctly. So, but it has completely maybe a lot faster as far as a reporter goes, because they say that for every 1 minute of interview, it takes you 5 minutes to log. So like, let's say that 40-minute interview, that would have taken me 2 hours to log. But I threw it into Trent, it gives me a printout, and then I just highlight what SOTs I want, and it just completely has changed things to where I've been able to now get a lot faster, and so I'm able to do 2 stories a day sometimes. It's not the norm, but sometimes.
He's an overachiever. And so that's a very easy way to use it for journalism. Now, the best thing to do is to still listen to the sound bites that you want to use. He eventually does, and you have to edit your own piece to make sure that they're correct. Yes?
Do you believe AI can exist without stealing content made by humans?
Well, probably not, and that's why we stressed in that last slide not to put sensitive information into an AI tool. So anything that you're not going to put out on air, you shouldn't put into an AI tool. So use it for social media monitoring. There's certain AI tools that help monitor like algorithms, when to post, what people are clicking on. And again, you can't use AI to do your work. You always need human oversight. Okay, so now we're getting to the images part. Some of y'all might have seen this on Twitter. It made its rounds. There's another image too that's similar, but people were, this appeared on a tweet and got thousands of retweets from people that thought this was real. Apparently this was actually created to kind of show or try to depict former President Trump connecting with his Black constituents. So this is not real, this is AI. So this is kind of an example of, where we can see AI kind of start to affect, everyday news coverage. So now we're getting into the detecting disinformation in AI. So these are things to, really pay attention to. Is that, that picture can be considered sensational. I think we can all kind of agree that we just saw. Is that image sensational? Is it too amazing? If it's too amazing, it might be AI. You have to use scrutiny when you see any of those images online. And just be wary of biased language, captions, or headlines that go along with it. I meant to grab the actual tweet with that picture, but it just, they can start to send a message. You use those fake pictures to send a message for their narrative. And that's both political, not political, but harmful content. Content raises emotions or stirs controversy, kind of along the same lines. Hit the brakes, explore the origin, consider the motivations that the person had in posting that image or video. So So there's another example too, and the picture's way down in the slide, but when the border crisis, of course, has been huge in the news recently, actually for several years, but it's a big part of, you know, the upcoming presidential election and a big part of debates. There's, you know, been a lot of images of surges at the border, and some of those were fake AI images. So people, you know, release those images trying to stir up controversy. Who is the source? So, you know, you always want to look when you see a picture online, where did it come from? You know, are there reliable sources like the Associated Press that are posting these images? When the AP posts an image on its website, they always have the credit. So always see if there's a source, if you can source that image quickly. And then that goes back to look at the credit. Does it have a photo credit? So if it's a reputable photographer agency, or do they frequently manipulate images in AI? And we're going to talk a little bit about how you can maybe check, an easy way to check to see if a photo is real or not. We'll get to that too. And it's just through Google. Okay. So this is an example of obviously AI photos. So you can see, like, clearly you want the ways to examine it. Reflections in eyes, shiny surfaces, you want to look for inconsistencies. Like you can see, like that's clearly not real. I mean, it could be maybe, but really looks deformed. Patterns, unusual textures, glitches, which clearly that looks like a glitch. And then we're talking about audio here. So is the audio too pristine or flat? So like AI technically goes into audio too when you're like, your voice, or I guess, yeah, if you can use a program where you can have someone with like a different accent create like a message, that's AI. And what does the delivery sound like? So for example, I went to one of those websites and just put in.
I'm so excited to learn more about AI.
You see how it sounds? Like it's like doesn't sound real, right? Kind of sounds robotic. And so you have to be careful with that because there could be audio clips that make the rounds on social media of, say, a politician making racist comments or really offensive comments about women. And it could be, they can even, there's AI technology that will take someone's voice, what they sound like, and try to make them say something they didn't say. Like that technology is even more advanced to where they'll take, you know, anyone's accent, a specific person, and have them say something, and it might not be real. So you have to be really, you know, look out for, is there, again, is it too pristine or too flat? Is there any background noise? That's a really like easy way to figure out if an audio is real or not. You hear any sort of background noise, and what is the delivery like? Are they talking like with normal inflections, or does it sound like how it did there, which is very robotic? But again, what's scary is you can take, nowadays, they'll take real people's voices, like President Biden. They'll take his voice and make him say something that he didn't actually say, and then some people online, especially on Twitter, they think that's real. So you have to be really careful. Yes?
What's a big scandal that you've seen when something like when it was like a voice from an AI, like
Trump,
which was like a
right?
big thing?
Reading his tweets.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Political messages as well.
Yeah, there's been fake stuff with, yeah. I feel like the most I've seen was with the current president, past president, recently, the election. That's what we're probably gonna see the most of. Can't think of anything local that's happened, thank goodness. Because again, we're not gonna report it if it's fake. We're just gonna let it die. And the best thing about our station, kids bye. We actually have a series, and this is actually through our entire company, Tegna, which owns Kids and a bunch of other stations throughout the country. We have a series called Verified, and it's where we actually like take content like this that might be fake, that people aren't sure, and it's going viral on social media, and they verify it, and they do a whole story about, all right, let's take a look at this. Is this real or not? And yeah, so we have a whole series focused just on making sure that we're looking at sensational things and saying, is it real or is it not? It's for our viewers. So I think that's really cool. It's also on our website if everyone can check it out.
I'm so
Okay. Okay, so these are 3 images that you see of the same woman. And I want you to tell me which one you think is, there's 2 that are AI and 1 that's real.
The one
Real
that
is
was
definitely
fake.
fake.
great, because it looks so clean.
Okay, so I like that we have a mixed reaction. Mike actually failed all of these tests. So this one is the real image. Yes. Now, of course, she still looks perfect, right? I mean, she's a pretty woman. And she may have used a filter too. I mean, filters, they exist. She could have even photoshopped it a little bit too. But this is actually her. She entered that image to create these two images. The big red flag, and some of y'all pointed it out, was the fever, right? That's gonna be dead giveaway. And then with this one, it's harder, right? Because AI technology is getting so advanced, it's getting hard to figure out what's real and what's not. I would say, and this is what I point out to Mike, and it's a little hard to see on this screen, but it's almost like the neck is where the veins are, feels like a little off if you just look at the actual, and that's kind of what I saw. And then her teeth look a little too blurred versus more distinct. They look a little too perfect. And then her ears kind of look off. Yeah, it looks kind of deformed, like it's a little. And granted, I'm not perfect about big ears, but you really just have to really examine it. So that just goes, and this is really just to show how advanced it can get. It's a little kind of scary. Is this picture real or fake?
Back then, so weird.
AI generated. Oh. So most people did well on that one. Yeah, it just looks a little too perfect. Yeah, exactly. Great picture. It's a little too perfect. I see a tiny bit of blurriness right there too. And I also thought this was kind of weird. It kind of just cuts off right there, those rocks. Looks a little too sharp of a cutoff. So it's just little things you kind of have to find. I mean, they did such a good job. I mean, look at even you can see his hair. It doesn't look just completely perfect. So you do a pretty good job on this one, but that is AI generated. What about this one? This is real. So this was taken out of music festival in 2015 in San Francisco. Yeah, so you can see, it's and obviously when you have motion, you're gonna get the blurred stuff. So I wouldn't say that's glitches. But yeah, this is a real photo. About this one. Real.
What?
AI generated. And this one, I'm even.
How would you know?
How did you know? How would you know?
Because the oil is clear. Yeah, that looks really
Yeah. I couldn't even tell you how to figure this one out. So that again, that's how advanced some of these programs can be. So let's look a little bit more at detecting red flags. Yes.
Citizen journalists, they send in photos. For example, if there's a hurricane or a tornado, what are we gonna what are journalists gonna do in the future? What if they're just generating these fake destruction photos and they're sending it to you guys, and then you guys are gonna say this is from so and so.
Yeah. No, that is so scary because severe weather, we really rely on citizen journalists, viewers to send us in pictures. I think the best course is to always run it by the meteorologist because they'll know if and this has already happened where you're seeing pictures circulate from storms, the current, it happened recently with the hurricanes along the hurricane along Carolina last year, I think, where there was this crazy picture that was going around claiming it was from the hurricane, but it was really an AI generated photo. So again, you're gonna have to look at the image, see if there's anything that looks bad. You just have to examine everything really closely. You can and then again, we'll use kind of this search engine to see if it pops up anywhere previously, and I'll explain that at the end. And then the other thing, again, like I said, checking with the meteorologist because they know what damage that storm could or provide. We're talking about weather. Or even the journalist, say it's a car wreck and they're sending in a picture, it's fake. But you should go out there and take video, so if it doesn't match up. So that's, this is gonna take a lot of work, right? And when you're getting in images. Yes.
So we're obviously covering what AI faults, but my question is, because I'm an aspiring journalist, right, I think most of us in here are, what is one thing that you both think AI cannot replicate? Like, what is something you can fall back on and say, well, AI definitely can't replace this that we have wrong?
Yeah, I feel like when it comes, well, again, it should not be doing your work. So you're writing, when you're writing your copy, you do not wanna rely on AI. Aside from, transcribing, it can't take that, like, heart away from being a human, right? And then for TV news, I really don't think, and there's been talks about like AI, like replacing anchors, like having like robots. But people watch local news, especially nowadays, and there's been studies done by what viewers actually want to get from local news. They watch local news for the person and to feel more connected. There's way more emotional value nowadays than back in the day when it comes to local news. They want to feel like they know you, they're your friend, that you are trustworthy. They want to see your personality, want to see if you're really human. That is way more appreciated nowadays, again, than when it was when broadcast news first came out. So I just don't think like a robot could ever really achieve that, right? So I'm not too scared about it. And again, like, when you're when you're writing, we really write with a lot of emotion, and these are robots.
Thank you, it's very reassuring.
No, I hope that eases some of your concerns. It's a great question. So back to this image. So this is a fake image, but it's supposed to replicate the Capitol riot, January 6th insurrection. And so some key things that you can see that are wrong with the image. There's an incorrect number of arches and pillars. This flag, clearly is distorted, gibberish on the sign. And then over here, there's the tree shape is weird. Something else to know. So we talked about the architectural abnormalities in the building, including incorrect staircase railings. There's also like not a lot of details in the bag of like some of the clothing. It's kind of flat. See how there's like nothing on these hats? And then when you look at the crowd, like there might be like kind of glitchy looking people. Now you can't really see much from this one. Another red flag, there's no one's face, like no side, like what are the chances they're all facing the front and no one's like turning their head to like talk to each other? You know what I mean? So there's like, you don't see any like faces or cell phones, not even a profile shot like I just mentioned. So reverse image search, have you ever done this?
No, actually.
Yes. Does anyone, y'all know about this? Yeah, well, it's pretty common, but this is a great way to figure out is the picture that's circulating going viral real or not. So you just use Google Images in Chrome. You just right click to choose search image in Google, or you can upload the image and drag and drop it into the search bar. It'll show you where the image has appeared online before. So this can actually help you determine where did this image come from. You can look for earlier versions of the image, and if you're suspicious, if the image you're suspicious of is recent, check for older versions may be unaltered because they could have just like photoshopped it. And if there are no other instances of this image online, so say like you put it in there and you don't see it anywhere, because if it's like a big news event, like usually, and if it's a real photo, like you're gonna see it constantly, like in news articles like Associated Press, CNN, like, and a lot of times the photographers, like they give the rights to like local news organizations, so it can float around. If you don't see it anywhere, that's also a red flag. It could be AI.
So using AI to catch AI.
Yeah, yeah, essentially.
I love that.
But this is a great way to see if the pictures, and what the best thing is a lot of like journalists or news sites will they'll go ahead and put out if the photo's fake, especially if it's making the rounds. Like you'll see articles being like, this photo's fake. Yes.
Can you expand a little further on the check for older versions that may be unaltered? How do you, what would be the step for that? Because
Like
how
if
would
you
I connect them?
So say you do the reverse image search and you see like the images pop up and they and it looks very similar. It might be like because it might be a photoshopped image or something. Like AI could use that old image and make it like their own AI version. So you might see an image that looks similar, but say for example, this is what I was talking about, search at the border. The original image might have like maybe 20 people in it lined up, and then the fake AI generated image might have like 200. So you you might see something look very similar, where it almost looks like it's the same picture, but clearly they're not. And that might actually be the original photo, or the photo that was used as inspiration by AI technology to create the fake image.
And how would we, verify the original one?
So again, that goes back to some of the other things we talked about earlier. So looking to see if there's any credit. You always want to look to see if it has a photojournalist credit. Like the Associated Press, for example, will always, and big news organizations, will always put like the photographer's name under the photo. And this is really for like big news events. When it comes to local news, to be like a little bit more, well, local news is going to make sure they're not putting a picture on their website unless it's real, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you see a picture going viral that's like maybe national news, looking for that photographer, who actually shot the picture, and is it on a reputable news site. So if the photo isn't on any sort of news organization that you've ever heard of, because there's a lot of like fake news sites out there. If it's not on any of the news sites that you've ever like heard of, like CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, then Reuters are, yeah. I probably would be wary to share it. So even if the website claims they're a news organization, but you do a Google search about the news organization, because it may be, you know, propaganda. Okay. Mike, did you want to add anything? Because I've been chit-chatting.
No.
Fantastic job.
So, final takeaways here. So AI can be helpful. I mean, we just talked about using AI to detect AI. But it's important to always fact check. Don't rely on AI to do your job. And AI cannot replace journalism. It just really can't. You've got to be able to, again, have that real person oversight of any of the content. But there are those small tools that can really help. So, we're going to open up for any more questions. Yes?
So while you don't believe that AI can fully replace journalism, do you think there are some jobs at risk of being replaced by AI?
At this point, no, because we've already downsized as much as you can because of this economy. Journalism is a hard, broadcast journalism has gone through it, newspaper has gone through it, y'all heard about it. I think they've really minimize jobs as much as they can. The only thing that I can think of is possibly like, if, no, I can't. We need human oversight. So even like, I'm thinking like put a system self-edit videos for us. But no, we would need someone to make sure that, that there's no jump cuts, that it's the right clips that are making sense with the script. So I just really don't think that at this point, when I think about all the jobs in the newsroom,
And that human interaction.
maybe the receptionist, but you don't even have receptionists
To
anymore.
go out to do the interviews that you guys do, like you were just talking about,
Yeah.
interview that husband, because they can't go out and interview.
Yeah, they can't, you just, and I'm thinking about those even like jobs, like an editor or, like an associate producer, but, even the smaller roles first, not no role is small, but even the more entry-level roles, you still need that human oversight, so. Any other questions about AI? We can talk about like more, because we have, what time is it?
And you guys have 30 minutes.
Oh, okay.
So-
No, sorry, I talk fast too. We can talk a little bit more about like just generic questions we'll have about TV news, as well. Yes.
What is your biggest concern about the upcoming election and your jobs in AI?
Yeah, and this is literally why Techna did this training, was because of the election. I think it's really going to negatively impact the election because of how quickly fake news can spread on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. So it's gonna be so crucial for like our series like Verified to try and debunk any sort of like fake claims. But unfortunately there are a lot of people that are just, they're gullible. They believe what they see online, they think that that's real, so it's gonna be a lot of work on journalists to get the message out there, like this is fake, don't, listen to this.
And that takes away time from doing something else. I'm thinking about radio stations. How are they gonna verify that the audio
versus, I mean, you have to, at the end of the day, like, you get an audio clip of someone saying something controversial, even if you weren't scared about being fake, you still have to call that person and ask them, did this happen? And then you still wanna call other people that might know more about the situation, like their boss. Okay, is this real? Because if, say, a city council member said something like really offensive about women, this is real. Our San Antonio Fire Department chief was recently allowed to retire early because he apparently said really offensive things about women. Now that wasn't caught on audio or we never got audio of it, maybe someone did report it one day, but if that act was caught on audio, we'd have to make sure confirm that there was actually an investigation, right, into him doing that. So yeah, it's important to, do your journalistic work that you do anyways to verify, but then at the same time you can use those tools to listen and see if it sounds fake. Yes.
I have a question pertaining back to AI, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
My question is if, for example, someone's using AI or AI writing assistant to help them write, and a false fax comes up and they don't catch it, who takes the fall for it?
Yeah, the journal. Ultimately you're a news organization, and you'd have to issue a correction, a retraction, and you'd have to, especially if it's published on the website, we always put a note, you have to note that you made a change, this was missing. So yeah, you would definitely get in trouble. With your boss, quite frankly. Yeah, so you have to be really careful. That's why I say in all honesty, the only thing that I trust at this point is the thing that transcribes your sound. Because at the end of the day, you're still gonna go back and listen to it and make sure it transcribed it correctly.
It'll tell you where it's at,
yeah, it tells
5
you-
minutes.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it tells you where it's at, and so then but you still go back and when you grab the clip, then you listen to it again, make sure that everything was, that they did it correct, because they'll still make mistakes, they'll still think that they said storm instead of roar or something. So you have to still double check, right? That goes back to always double check everything. But that's really the only thing that I currently really trust right now. There are certain, this is another example of something you could use, but I'm probably not going to. But it is allowed within Techna. There's a program where you can take your broadcast script. So when you write for TV, I'm sure y'all have gone through this, it's different than when you write for a newspaper. And you always have to publish a newspaper AP style version of our broadcast story. So at the end of the day, we always have to do web. We call it web. We always have to do our web. It's a lot of work, and you have to, and usually that's when I add more information, and I just make it a little bit different, a lot different actually, because it's AP style versus broadcast. There is a program where you can dump your script from TV, and it will go ahead and make it into a web version. But
You have to tweak it still.
you still have to go and tweak it.
What is that program?
I don't know what it's called, because I'm too wary to use it, because I'm just I don't know. I feel like it's cheating almost.
But using it as a personal assistant and then going in and tweaking it.
Yeah,
because at the
but
end
it
of the
is
day-
technically allowed, so you could do that, and that could save you time.
Yes.
On that note, do you have any personal limitations that you put on yourself when using AI?
Yeah.
You won't use this program for whatever reason or anything like that?
Yeah, no, I think going back to I just am a little wary of the web one, although, because I haven't tried it yet, I'm just a little, so I actually haven't delved into too much AI yet myself. Mike, probably a little bit more, just with the transcript.
Well, just the transcribing, but I won't use it at all. I don't trust it.
Yeah, I'm a little
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm not gonna
there's
risk
some
it.
other people in the newsroom that maybe have experimented a little bit more, but I'd rather be old fashioned, just be safe than sorry. Did you have a question for them?
I do have a question.
Yes.
So I was looking at TikTok the other day,
Yeah.
as one does, and I saw that there was someone pointing out the fact that someone from the older generation was scrolling through Facebook and was seeing a competition of building sand figures and stuff like that. And of course, because maybe as someone from the younger generation, I'm always looking and I'm used to being exposed to responsibility, so I know when something's too perfect.
Yeah.
And even so, like, I was struggling with the earlier pictures. I was like, oh, which one is it, you know?
Mhm.
So, like, how should we, like, collectively teach the older generation, you know,
Yeah.
to be aware of those things?
No, it's a great question. I think that there's, when you do finally make it, professional to professional level, you have your own social media accounts. I think it's really important to use those accounts to spread that message, especially if you start to gain following. It's simple as, commenting or sharing that post and explaining this is not real. And then I go back to Ted Menken's 5 series Verify, which is working to do that. And so they post our Verify stories both online, so they'll reach maybe a younger audience, but also, they broadcast it in our newscast, and that's where you have a lot of the older audience watching. So a lot of reviewers are older, but we want to bring younger people in. But, and so, yeah, I think that was really huge. And the thing is, like, I'll give kudos to Tegna. I didn't start working for the company until I joined Ken's less than a year ago, but this Verify has been around for years, so they really are ahead of the game in trying to, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, did it come after the whole, like, big news, was that 2019, for the elections? Yeah, I think it happened because of that big, when President Trump, pushed it out there, fake news, and everyone kind of took that and ran with it. I think that's when they decided, okay, we need to do something about this, because people aren't trusting us. And so I think that can really be used to help educate that audience. Do you want to talk about some struggles?
I do have a question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so the field of journalism, specifically reporting and anchoring, is very, very competitive.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you worked in Alabama, and I know for a fact that Alabama has a specific look that they want, and I think every single news station does. But my question is, what exactly is it? And I guess that's up to the producers, right, what they want to put on TV, who they want to put on TV to be showcased. What does it come down to? What is something that I can do as an aspiring reporter and anchor woman to make myself stand out amongst the others? Because it's super, super competitive. And I guess that's the one thing that scares me about this field.
Yeah.
Like, I have the confidence, but then I worry, is there something that I'm utterly lacking?
Yeah.
And then my whole time here has been wasted.
No, that's such a good question. I'll talk a little bit about my journey, and then Mike has a really good, his story, I think, will really, put it into perspective for everyone. But, I always worry about, am I good enough to be on TV? I'm not, that, perfect, Barbie doll. Never have been. And that's something I, was always self-conscious about. But at the end of the day, it is your confidence that sells it. Just be you. Getting that job in Alabama, I was a little nervous. There was no Hispanic people there. I was I was minority, and I'm used to, I grew up in Houston, and then, that was not the case there. So, it was nerve-wracking, not having that culture, but I actually think that really helped. Anytime I went out in the community in Alabama, there was a lot of people that approached me that were, Latinas, and they'd come up and thank me for representing them. And I realized that there were actually a lot more people there in my culture than I thought. So I think that, and I was really lucky that my news director then actually really saw value in diversity, because I looked at my newsroom then and it was diverse. And so that really, you just have to find those bosses that really see you for you. They don't just care about is she, look like Margot Robbie, which I wish. But and that's okay if you do, because you can still look like that and be beautiful and talented and smart, makes you so smart. But yeah, they see the value in you and what you bring, and that's so important. And so I ended up, when I went to Alabama, I started as a reporter and a weekend morning anchor, and I ended up moving all the way up to be a main anchor there. And so yeah, and that's a
really
market.
quick.
Yeah.
That's boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, so it was, and that was within 4 years. So I did actually within 2 years, and then it was 2 years as a main anchor. So yeah, don't put those limitations on yourself. You just never know. There are some old school people out there, old school news directors that still think that way. They're still going to be very critical. The great thing about a market like San Antonio, though, is I think they really value diversity. I look at our newsroom, and we have a lot of different people from different cultures reporters. We just hired a reporter that's Sikh, from the Sikh community. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really cool.
That's awesome.
And we have a councilwoman that's in the Sikh community, so it's like I feel like it's, you know, it clearly shows that this is a diverse city. Your newsroom needs to reflect that. So that is, thankfully, the news, like I feel like the culture of TV broadcast has changed for the better. I can't say it would have been the same, gosh, like 10 years ago. Been in it like 7, 8 years now. I think I got pretty lucky. I also started in Lubbock, which also was like a very like good, I think I fit in there. Alabama though was different, and I was just, yeah, but I don't regret it. I feel like I made an impact. Mike has, yeah, similar, you know, values.
I mean, it's a tough industry, and you know, you just mentioned something about being lucky. You know, I hate to say it, but you do have to rely on being lucky. A little bit, yes.
Timing.
Yeah, timely. And I always say, well, I did it myself. I interned for 4 years before, like my entire college career, I was an intern. You know, and it took me a long time. I was really awkward when I first started. I still am. I have, you know, believe it or not, I have a fear of public speaking. So I don't know if you saw me dabbing a little bit. People like freak out whenever they hear that, but it's the truth, you know. But you know, I had to intern for a long time, and then I got really lucky because I had interned with this lady who was working at the assignment desk. I worked with her for like a year, and then she became a news director. And then, you know, I sent her my reel because when I had cut my reel, I sent it to like 25 stations. I didn't get one call, and so I was like, oh gosh, maybe this isn't gonna work out. And you know, she.
So you can be like, hey, this sucks, or this is good.
Oh no, yeah.
Oh,
I
of
was
course.
like I sent out so many reels and never heard anything. Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
assistance.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, what a news director a long time ago, my very first internship, she told me, she said, when we watch your reels, we know within the first 20 to 30 seconds if they like you. Sometimes even the first photo you pick, they might just click off of it, you know, and you can kind of see that, I always use YouTube, and it'll give you analytics of how long they watched it. So, yeah, and where. And
I
so
think
it's kind of
technically it's
useful,
AI.
You know?
I know. Sounds like an AI.
Yeah. But you have to have tough skin too,
Yeah.
because not everyone is gonna like you.
No.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
Passion stuff.
And that's okay.
tough. Yeah, and that's okay, you know? Just to give you an example of what Megan was talking about, I recently had an experience, I won't name the news station, but I was extremely happy to work there, and it just didn't work out. And I was devastated. I, you know, went through a small little depression. You know, I cried about it, and then all of a sudden, I ended up where I was supposed to be, you know? And so sometimes you have to roll with the punches, so to speak, you know? It's not a perfect world, you know? But everything, I always believe everything happens for a reason, and you end up where you were supposed to be. That's how I feel personally. about it.
Yeah. Rejection is actually really good. Like it really helps you. You gotta build a thick skin. Like I was talking a little bit about how like I have, you know, some insecurities. I'm a human being, like who doesn't? And I, you know, sometimes I still beat myself up over like, oh, I wish it was this, I wish it was that, but at the end of the day, and there will be people like on YouTube that make nasty comments. Someone referred me to like compared me to some like character from anyways. There's some real trolls out there. And a lot of times they're not even from San Antonio, they're just like random people from like God knows where watching our YouTube videos. You just have to let those things go.
No, that's just jealousy.
Yeah, but you just have, you know, you just have a thick skin. Like, take things too personally. And then when you hear from your, you know, if you get criticism from your boss or your colleague, that too, you have to like be able to take that and know that they're just trying to make you better. So there is constructive criticism too, to learn how to take that and not take anything personally. Because especially in your first market, I found I was blessed. My first news director, he was tough. I mean, he mad, and he can't do this anymore because it's not like allowed. But not at you, when he first moved across, oh my God, he'd be like, Austin? He had this big West Texas accent. He'd be like, Megan, what the hell was that? Who wrote that? Like, I wrote that.
I've had papers thrown in my face.
watch and check my scripts, and it was so nerve-wracking, but it was like, it helped me learn, like, you gotta like have that tough skin.
I think at the end of the day, it comes down to you and your level of confidence, like you
Yeah.
are who you are, and you have to have that thick skin.
Yes.
But it also comes down to like, if you wanna work somewhere, like doing your homework as far as the culture, like their missions, their culture, is that really somewhere you wanna be? And if you don't like agree with the way they run things, I mean, take it as a learning opportunity and then move on, like use that to your benefit, right? So, just.
Yeah, Mike, I think that's perfectly, like, goes along with what you experienced. Like,
Yeah.
it just wasn't the right culture for you. And there's people that are at that station for like years, so clearly they're, you know, thriving there, but it just wasn't the right fit. But thank God he's so intense. Lord, he started right after me. It was like so perfect at a front.
Yeah, I just wanted, you were saying that you were lucky, but it doesn't sound like you were lucky to me, it sounds like you did your work. 4 years of internship, that's great to work when you're preparing for a job.
Yeah, no. Yeah, but I guess in that aspect, what,
And not
Not
giving
giving
up.
up.
yeah,
Giving
not
up,
giving up,
because-
yeah.
Being tenacious and.
And all about who you know as well, like it does, it's a, you know, meet as many people as you can, make as many relationships, because you never know when that person will be in a role to give you that step up.
So find them on
You know?
LinkedIn and Instagram right now. Go.
Yes, LinkedIn is so good. Going off of that, so do y'all know, anyone know like Henry Ramos? He's our main anchor, 10 p.m. newscast. Y'all probably don't watch it. He's like very beloved. Like he's totally like Mr. San Antonio right now. I actually was his intern when I started in Lubbock, and then I ended up getting like a part-time job there when I was still in college. But he's been my mentor, and because of our connection, he basically got me this job. So it is so big with, you know, like you said, like build those connections. Such a small world. Like he was able to be like, no, you need to hire this person. And thank goodness. Yes.
So do y'all offer internships at Campfire?
That's a great question. We did, and then the pandemic hit, and I'm not sure if the program's back on. Yet or not. So I actually
We didn't find out.
we didn't find that out. Because internships are so important. I mean, you did for 4 years. He got me my first job. So those internships are crucial. Crucial. Any other questions? We're good on time, right?
Yeah.
That was excellent.
I will say this, just for me personally, and I know we'll probably feel the same, but if anyone, I'll leave my card, if anyone wants to reach out to me and ask other questions, or pertaining to like news, you know, in particular, I'd be more than happy to, you know, help you, mentor you a little bit, and share a little bit of the knowledge I had. I was very blessed in my 4 years. I had so many great mentors who taught me a lot of different things, and so I want to definitely give back and, you know, help someone. In fact, when I was in the Rio Grande Valley, I had a girl that was with me for a whole year. She went to UTRGV, and I ended up helping her get her first job. She didn't like it though. She got out after 6 months, but I told her, I showed her exactly how it was. You know, she would come in after her classes, and I told her the truth about how it really is.
Yeah,
Sometimes
it's
it is
rough.
a stressful job,
Yeah.
but it's fun at times and has a lot of benefits. You know, you meet a lot of great people. Yeah, it's a great career.
Yeah.
I love it. But you can answer any questions.
Mike, when Ollu had their Spanish newscast, weren't you helping me? You helped me, right?
With?
Watch the newscast?
Oh, yes.
Yes, I remember, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Amanda and I worked together in my first market. I worked with
Aw.
2 years in Victoria. She was our main anchor.
That's like the biggest I've ever seen you smile.
She was actually really great, and she needs to get back in the industry.
Not was.
Oh.
No, she
Oh,
is
my gosh,
great.
she still is.
Yes. Great. Yeah, no, we'll leave our business cards, and then I think you mentioned Reel, like we can look over Reels and for feedback, especially one of my favorite things to do.
And we want to bring back the Ollu Spanish newscast, so Mike, you'll still look over those? Yeah.
So Megan and Mike, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was brilliant. And if you're hungry, you have food.
Yes, please stay.
So right now, what we'll do is we'll take a break, take a restroom break, and then you